Okay, so it seems like there's been more that has been going on with the faithful sheriff, which has been concerning a lot of people, especially in the regards to, interactions with minors and stuff like that, which of course has continued to get worse and worse. And, there's recently been like situations, for example, in the Discord server, which we've made previous videos about, by the way, where people were spamming like GIFs and stuff of certain content, which obviously, isn't great to be exposing some of his audience to. And of course, that was a big issue. Again, apparently they tried to get it solved or something. But again, it just ended up, completely backfiring, and a lot of people have been paying attention to him. And of course, he's been kind of doing this whole peanut thing, which essentially he used to be a different kind of streamer or whatever. And then he, pivoted to the peanut because, of course, the burnt peanut was doing so popular. And it seems like he did get the attention, but obviously for the wrong reasons in terms of the Discord stuff that has been going on. And there's been more to that, which I kind of wanted to cover and talk to you guys about. But if you don't know what the faithful sheriff does, essentially what he does is go around into Fortnite games and talk to kids about like Jesus and God and Christianity, and also sometimes ice as well, which we covered, which again I just think is extremely odd and weird. I just think it's just not the place to really be talking about it, especially with random kids online. I could assure you, if I had a kid that was on Fortnite and some random guy was speaking to my kid about Jesus and stuff like that, I wouldn't want them doing that, right? Because of course it is up to me to kind of educate them on that rather than some random peanut guy on the internet, especially whenever there is a lot of kind of creepy behavior, I feel like, that takes place as well during a lot of these clips. Because there was one clip that literally was recent, which I thought was a little bit odd, where essentially, it says, "How old are you?" And he talks to this kid who says that he wants to be an engineer and all of this kind of stuff. But during the clip, obviously, he has this whole kind of like fart thing going on. And I just find it very odd because you're talking to a minor while obviously trying to, I don't know if it's like an alert thing on his stream or whatever, but, you're talking to this kid, and meanwhile, you've got like all of this kind of fart, like almost fetish stuff that has been playing in the background. Which I just think is a very weird thing, right? I can understand maybe if they kept it completely clean and were just talking to them naturally, no kind of weird stuff involved or whatever, I would still find that weird, I still find that odd, but at least there wouldn't be any kind of like weird kind of, sexual element to it, right? Whereas it seems like, during the entire thing, as he's speaking, it happens, right? You can see.
Go with the flow. Let it all out. Can we ask another question?
Like, bro, like that's while you're speaking to a kid, right? And I think it is very, very odd. And again, I think a lot of people have found it very odd. People don't like it. This has got 216,000 views, by the way, 62 likes. Who said, "You're genuinely a groomer, and I hope someone makes you eat your own teeth. Oh my god, you're actually a PDF. What is wrong with you? No normal human being talks to people like this, nor should you be reciprocating a conversation with someone you clearly know isn't even in high school yet. Like, bro, just mute them and speak to an adult." It's some weird ass stuff, and 100% true, right? If you wanted to go around and talk to adults and, verify that they're an adult, obviously the kind of likelihood of there being an adult on Fortnite is probably much lower than maybe on other games. But, if you wanted to kind of confirm that with them, say, "Oh, are you an adult? Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, okay, can we talk about like Christianity and stuff?" Sure, I can understand that, right? But it's the fact that you're targeting kids in particular, obviously, is the thing that makes people very, very uncomfortable. And I think it gets even more uncomfortable whenever you have situations like this happening within his communities, which says faithful sheriff grooming. They say the faithful sheriff sees it fit to assign minors to moderate in his Discord server, exposing them to the material that is being, placed within the server. Because, as I said before at the start of this video, essentially they had a big problem with a lot of certain, adult content being shared onto these servers, and then they had to get moderators to sort that out. And obviously it becomes even worse whenever those moderators literally admit that they're saying, "Oh yeah, I'm a minor, I'm 17. So you're hiring 17-year-old moderators to go into your Discord server and sift through messages of, adult material, which I think is obviously absolutely disgusting. And it's crazy that they haven't even caught on to this or done some kind of, checking to see that, this person is old enough to do so, right? And again, they say, "Hello, outlaws. There's a way to talk in here without spending a single cent, probably. Assuming you can even see this message, if you have an Amazon Prime, you can go to your settings to gain free access to a free monthly Twitch Prime subscription. Saying if you use this, subscribe to Sheriff's Twitch page, subscribe, then clicking using Prime, and then, yeah, you can do all of that kind of stuff, right? which again obviously shows that they are a mod and whatever, and then they confirm that they are, 17, which obviously isn't good. Now, the Faithful Sheriff did actually respond to this, saying, this person was banned and no longer in the Discord. We had no idea they were a minor until they said something. Vetting of mods is now way more strict. And it's just one of these kind of situations where, like, it happens, people call it out, and then they go, oh, sorry, my bad, fixed. Like, this shouldn't be happening. Like, okay, maybe once, right? Sometimes I understand that there are these kind of, like, mess ups or whatever. You overlook something, bad happens, right? Of course, that happens sometimes, but it just keeps happening and happening and happening and happening. And he's like, oh, wait, no, oh, sorry, no, I fixed that. We'll do better this time. And it just happens, like so often, to the point where it's just like, is this really mistakes anymore, or are you just trying to get away with it, and people are calling you out, and then you're fixing it once it gets called out, right? And I do think that is a problem, and I especially think it's a problem whenever it comes to your own moderators, right? It clearly means that you don't know who your own moderators are, you barely interact with them at all to know that, they are not old enough to be actually moderating in your server and sorting through these type of content that you are making them sort through, right? And I think it is crazy that you don't have that kind of system in place already in the first place. And now is the time to do it later on, right? Not whenever, you had that huge blow up with a lot of people, reacting to your content and stuff. No, we'll do it later on after they've had to sift through a ton of, kind of adult content and everything like that, right? They're saying there are no, blank or blank materials posted in my Discord, and if anyone is caught doing so, they get immediately banned. Well, that's the point, right? That's the whole point. The people that do the banning are the moderators. Like, what? Is this, like, we're not saying, like, obviously there was an issue in the first half, and maybe that's what he's referring to. There was an issue with people sharing that kind of stuff, and then they ended up banning it, right? But now you have moderators that ban that content. People still go in there to post stuff, right? I'm sure, especially with the kind of culture that has been created over there, people go in there to post that kind of stuff, and then they end up getting banned or whatever. But the problem is, the person that has to see that content and then delete it and then ban them is 17 years old, right? Like, I think that, I don't know if that's not computing with them, like they're saying, oh, we don't allow that content on our server. Well, yeah, because the people that are doing it and, like, not allowing it are also not allowed to see that content. Like, what? Like, it's so confusing, saying this person is posting blatant lies about the Discord. And obviously, it's this got 92 likes, 49 comments, saying there was no blank or blank in my server. When people post blank and blank, we ban them. Okay, which one is it? I was not present when the moderator said this stuff and was posted by bypassing things we put in place. I was told it was deleted and the people were banned by the mods. Yeah, but the mods, oh my god, the mods are the, oh my god, okay, anyways. They're saying the only reason you did something is because you were caught, 100%. They say, we knew exactly what kind of degeneracy is in your Discord, Sheriff. Don't play us for fools anymore. One of your moderators sent me, blank. Like, it's crazy, right? Like, I mean, the fact that you didn't get your moderators before appointing them as a mod, also, I think they mean vet your moderators before appointing them speaks volumes. So hopefully you're banned off every platform, so I don't have to hear about your fake ass anymore. Which obviously, people say lies. And again, you could say that you don't allow it on your server, but the issue at hand is that the people that are controlling this, the people that are the ones that have to see this content and delete it, are, obviously minors, which obviously is crazy, and it is not good for your server, right? If, for example, like, if you think about like Facebook or Twitter or any social media app, right? They have moderators that go through and delete, some pretty obscene content, and sometimes they have to, get therapy and stuff like that to actually fix that kind of stuff, right? And that is almost a similar kind of, way, except, the moderators that Facebook employ and Twitter employ and whoever employ to actually do this kind of stuff are adults. Whereas this time, you've hired a kid to do this, right? And obviously, I don't think I really need to tell you why that's bad, right? I think that's 100% terrible, right? So I think it is crazy. And obviously, a lot of people have been posting other stuff saying, wasn't he in hot water before he was rebranded? And yeah, I think he was. Just people saying yes. There wasn't this the same dude who played Fortnite a while back and kept telling literal kids that they were going to go to hell because they don't believe in God or something. I'm not religious, by the way. And yeah, that's like a common theory that goes around about the Faithful Sheriff, is the fact that, lots of people think that he genuinely doesn't really believe in Christianity, and that, it's all just kind of an act, and that it's like one of these things. Now, again, I I don't want to say if that's true or not, because of course, I don't know. Obviously, it's up to him or whatever. But that's what a lot of people have been saying, and a lot of people believe because of how extreme he goes with it, by saying people are going to go to hell for not believing in God, which is just not what a regular Christian would tell you, right? A regular Christian wouldn't tell you that you're going to go to hell because you didn't believe in God. They would obviously, you know, it's all about forgiveness and all this kind of stuff, right? And that is completely not the way that it works. But a lot of people have been trying to kind of also hook him up. I say hook him up, trying to like get him to collaborate with other creators as well, who also want to kind of, you know, I guess distance from him, because obviously, you know, the Faithful Sheriff has become a little bit of like a lolcow now. And now I would say he's a little bit more of a dangerous lolcow in terms of the amount that, you know, of minors that are in trouble, especially whenever it comes to his servers and his content and stuff like that. But, you know, there's other lolcows, obviously, in other communities. For example, Gaming for Hope. If you guys have ever seen him, he plays Overwatch. People make fun of him for missing grabs and stuff like that. Apparently, there's some weird stuff that, you know, I don't know how. I haven't really looked into the Gaming for Hope files, you know, so I don't know if there's any kind of secret stuff that makes him a bad person or whatever. It doesn't really matter for this kind of conversation. But obviously he is another kind of lolcow, especially in the Overwatch community, for, you know, bad gameplay. And of course they say, RE, the Faithful Sheriff, I stand by what I said. Oh, also he's very Christian as well. He says, you know, a lot about Christian disciple of Jesus. It's literally in his bio. So a lot of people have been wanting them to collaborate, I think. A lot of people have been commenting that kind of stuff. But obviously it seems like even he doesn't want to collaborate with them, right? Saying, I stand by what I said in response to collaborating with him. I will not elaborate further. I want to make it clear that I do not condone being hateful towards the guy. If you don't like him, just block his content and move on from him. That's the last I'll share on this. Just been hearing about and seeing a lot of this, which, yeah, obviously is true. Someone posted a screenshot about something saying, Sheriff, don't worry about these stupid violent people. They said, back off Gaming for Hope or you're going to get slimed, which obviously is crazy. And obviously said, don't you think as a Christian, it'd be nice for you to collaborate with him? Which again, this is something that I see quite a lot happen with the Faithful Sheriff and maybe some of his fans, in terms of like wanting other people to collaborate with them. It's using like the Christian card, being like, oh, you're both Christians. You guys should like collaborate together because you're both Christians. But like sometimes it's not all about just being, you know, the same thing, being in the same religion or whatever. Sometimes it is literally about looking at their content and going, yeah, no, I don't really want to interact with that, because of course it, you know, being Christian doesn't give you the pass to collaborate with anybody that you want to, right? People are still going to judge you by your content, regardless of whether you're Christian or not, or you're both Christian or not, right? And I think that is obviously a big factor. But yeah, I mean, this was just an issue that I saw that's been kind of being uncovered lately, and it definitely is an extremely weird you know, situation that's been going on. But yeah, that's essentially all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also go over to GameSubs, use my code Kazo, get 10% off again. They've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.